Now, I think it's very fair to say that when we take a very close look at the Acolyte TV series and its trailer that debuted just a couple of weeks ago, mind you, back in March, it really has gotten ratioed across the board, something that we have never seen happen to any Star Wars trailer, whether it be a movie or a TV show or even a video game at that. We have never seen ratios across the board like this with any Star Wars trailer in Star Wars history, and that really does speak volumes. It tells us that the majority of fans are now beginning to wake up, even the casual fans, that may not very well know all that much about Star Wars and the hardcore, of course, Legends material that's being cherry-picked by Kathleen Kennedy and Leslye Headland and thrown into the Acolyte, or as I like to call it, the Hackolyte at this point. We know that this series is going to be a disaster. We know it's going to be a colossal failure. We know it, and they know it. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, the Acolyte series, the marketing campaign so far has been atrocious, alright? The first teaser / trailer, whatever have you, did not really start things off well, alright? It actually started things off quite terribly, and we have a new trailer, by the way, a full trailer, quote-unquote, that is due to release by this May, so stay tuned for that, because it's going to be quite a ride to see what happens. Now, Leslye Headland, the showrunner and director of this thing, has endlessly been defending her movement, her overall stance on the plot of the series, against the fans, going against George Lucas, and really just destroying every tradition and rule and philosophy within Star Wars. Now, on top of that, with both Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm as two of the most failed divisions right now at the Walt Disney Company in one way or another, one major development has to do with showrunner and director Leslye Headland of the Acolyte series, where she recently delivered the following and decided to attack fans yet again. As a woman and one who supports feminism, I think the problem in this industry is that we are and have been dealing with a toxic male demographic that just refuses to accept powerful female roles and stories that contribute to women, which is exactly what the Acolyte does. We always expected some level of noise from a small group of fans that always tend to be very loud and opinionated. We witnessed this with The Last Jedi and director Rian Johnson, and I don't think he deserved that at all. In fact, I took so much inspiration from him, both as a creative and one who handles criticism. I think he served as a great symbol in the Star Wars community. Leslye continues, with the Acolyte, though we did take in story elements from The Last Jedi and how we could really sort of respect diversity and equality with the usage of powerful female roles and supporting the LGBTQ community, I think there lies another problem, is that those that are opposed to a show like this are obviously against the LGBTQ community and are also, I think, tapping into misogyny. It's a problem that needs fixing, and something I and Kathleen really agreed on was how we could execute our support for many communities so well within this series. The Acolyte, I think, is going to create a new era of fans, ones that are open to change and new traditions being born in the Star Wars world. I just don't get the criticism by some, I really don't. I think it just stems from those that are entitled and posing as fans that really don't understand Star Wars truly. We had to make sure that we didn't revisit the traditional formats that were created by George to really make this series feel powerful and original, and I'm sure many loud fans are going to have a problem with that, but we also wanted to reimagine the expanded universe, since I'm like such a huge fan of that. All the books that George endorsed well over 20 years ago just gave us endless source material to work from or to cherry pick from and implement into our story in a new way that fits the narrative. This is also something that Kathy brought up to my attention of how important it was to use the EU as a template. I know some fans call it Legends, but yeah, it was such a thrill to handle. All the loud fans, I think, are going to be proven wrong with their criticism of the show. I think these are the type of fans that don't understand the process of letting the product speak for itself, something Kathy and Bob over at Disney loves to always discuss, because you should never judge a book by its cover. I think our teaser was produced perfectly, and we have some new footage coming very soon that I think is going to show our support for different communities even further. Now guys, let me stop here quick before I move on, alright? Now, Leslye Headland is obviously announcing that she is ripping off the expanded universe, also known as Star Wars Legends. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, these are all books and comics / video games that came out well after Return of the Jedi, that came out during the prequel movies, etc., that are not considered canon at this point, but Lucasfilm and Disney have been essentially stealing elements from those and putting it in their own spin for well over 7 years now. And they're going to do it in an even more severe matter with the Acolyte. She's openly and blatantly announcing that they will be taking the expanded universe storylines and transforming it into their own narrative. Now, once again, she is blaming the fans that the reason why the industry is meeting so many challenges these days are that fans are, or just regular customers that support movies and television, etc., are against any level of agenda. And that's just the truth. A lot of fans hate agenda-driven strategies by Disney, by those like Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios, all fall within Disney, etc. It's not just Disney, though. It's other studios out there. And you know what? At the same exact time, you have people like Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, and even Leslye that say, there's an agenda, but there's no agenda. It's a constant thing that falls into this vicious cycle that they always talk about. So, moving onwards, she goes on to conclude, sometimes in order to make a Star Wars story with originality, you have to shift away from that burden of Lucas's philosophy. I know Ryan with The Last Jedi attempted to do that, but I think we found a right way to handle that to the public. We are changing the meaning of what it means to be good or bad, and it's so empowering. Now, guys, I can only imagine what they are about to do here. I think that what she just said about there, about changing the meaning of what it means to be good or bad, or good and evil, etc., falls in line with that dialogue presented in the Acolyte. You know, this is not about good or bad. This is about power and who's allowed to use it. Which, cringeworthy dialogue in my opinion, to be honest. But in there, it just goes to show you that it falls also in line with what she talked about a couple of days ago, about how the Sith is going to be receiving brand new meaning to who they really are, to what they're really all about, and I would not be too shocked if they are chasing the narrative that the Sith are misunderstood, or that they are truly good at heart. Alright, I would not be shocked if it ends up being something like that. I'm not saying it is, but it would not be shocking at all if that is what they're chasing at this point, because that's what it sounds like. Now, again, we know that Leslye Headland, in my book at least, in my opinion, she is worse than Kathleen Kennedy. Not based on history, you know, she hasn't been with Lucasfilm for all that long, but she is worse in the sense as far as how extreme her agenda is, and how Kathleen just really endlessly agrees with it, and how it's nothing more than her really kind of contributing to all the mess that's been going on over at Lucasfilm. So overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this ongoing drama behind the scenes below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.